Welcome back to News Around, the definitive sanctuary for those who seek the heartbeat behind the headlines. We are not here to merely skim the surface of the tabloids, we are here to excavate the emotional truths of the stars who define our screens and our imaginations. Today, we are dissecting a moment so fleeting yet so seismic that it has effectively hijacked the narrative of the entire entertainment year. We are talking about the red carpet incident that stopped time. The unplanned, electric convergence of Gökberk Yildirim and Semra Ardar. It was a collision of orbits that wasn't supposed to happen, a glitch in the matrix of celebrity management that gifted us the most analyzed minute of the decade. Before we unravel this tapestry of light, silence, and intense speculation, we invite you to anchor yourself in our community. Please subscribe and activate the notification bell to ensure you never miss a beat of these developing sagas. And for those who wish to empower our investigative storytelling and gain access to the deepest insights, we strongly urge you to click the join button below. Your support is the lifeblood of News Around. Now, let us step onto that carpet and freeze time. In the grand theater of celebrity culture, award ceremonies are usually orchestrated with the precision of a military parade. Arrivals are timed to the second, interactions are rehearsed, and separation is maintained between key players to control the narrative. But chaos, as it often does, found a way to intervene on the night of this year's most anticipated awards. The red carpet, usually a conveyor belt of predictable glamour, lit up like a sudden thunderclap, and the moment that swallowed the night whole was the unforeseen convergence of Gökberk Yildirim and Semra Ardar. It wasn't a scripted reunion. It wasn't a staged photo op. It was an accident of timing that felt written by fate. Though they arrived through separate entrances, a logistical separation that many assumed was intentional, the atmosphere in the venue practically crackled with static electricity when they appeared within the same frame. Two names that carry their own immense gravity, stepping into one narrow corridor of blinding light at the exact same second. The air in the room changed instantly. The ambient chatter died down, replaced by a collective gasp that rippled through the onlookers. Phones lifted in unison like a wave. And then, the flashes. The sheer violence of the light was blinding. It happened in a blur that has since been slowed down and dissected frame by frame. As Gökberk and his formidable team rounded a sharp corner to settle in for the signature press line, Semra glided into view from the adjacent entry. She was wearing a red dress that seemed to absorb all the oxygen in the room, a garment that demanded attention not just for its hue but for the way she carried it. The studio photographers, seasoned veterans who have seen everything, lost their professional composure. They began shouting names simultaneously, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of desperation, stumbling over each other's tripods to capture both faces in the same click. The noise spiked to a deafening roar, and for a single, suspended heartbeat, the two stars just blinked through the storm, their cheeks cooling under the white-hot flicker of 1,000 strobes. What fed the frenzy even more was the context of the couple's recent behavior. Gökberk Yildirim and Semra Ardar are not strangers to attention, they are veterans of the limelight. But the weeks leading up to this ceremony had been unusually, almost suspiciously, quiet for them. There had been no joint appearances to promote projects, no shared interviews, no breezy, candid snapshots taken by fans in Karaköy cafes. Their publicists cited the usual suspects: work, conflicting schedules, the relentless pace of life. That's what their circles claimed. And yet, seeing them inches apart without a shared pose felt like a coded message everyone was trying to decode. The silence that surrounded them had created a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. The audience rushed to fill it with meaning. Backstage, the whispers swelled into a chorus. People wondered if they would cross paths again during the broadcast, if the organizers would seat them near each other, but both chose their lanes and stuck to them with disciplined precision. The awards ceremony unfolded with all its pomp and circumstance, but the red carpet moment pinned the night to its wall. The show itself, with all its carefully planned reveals and tearful acceptance speeches, couldn't compete with the single minute that everyone craved to replay on their screens. Reports trickling from the corridors painted a more chaotic picture than the polished broadcast the audience saw at home. The aisles clogged repeatedly as rogue photographers abandoned their posts to chase not the winners list, but the proximity of Gökberk and Semra. At one point, the situation threatened to spiral. Semra's colleagues, her stylists, makeup artists, and close friends, formed a gentle, protective wall around her as she made her way past a knot of aggressive cameras toward the VIP lounge area. Meanwhile, Gökberk ran late to his appointed interview slot because he physically couldn't cut through the sudden crowds that had gathered to catch a glimpse of the aftermath. What was supposed to be a straightforward press rotation turned into a navigational maze. By mid-evening, the rumors had split into warring camps. Some observers insisted the red carpet exchange was cool and clipped, the kind of greeting you give an ex-colleague when you're balancing composure and an internal storm. They saw tension in the set of Gökberk's jaw, a steeliness in Semra's gaze. Others argued that both were simply modeling supreme professionalism, no theatrics, no mess, just two icons doing their job under impossible circumstances. No one could agree on the tone, but everyone agreed on the impact. The atmosphere changed the second they were seen together, even if the moment lasted less than a breath. People inside the industry weren't surprised that they drew attention, they were surprised by how tangible the tension was. How quick the hush fell before the click storm roared back to life. This brings us to the psychology of the power couple dynamic. Even without a confirmed relationship, the mere proximity of these two creates a gravity that pulls everyone in. We want to ask you, the perceptive news around community, do you think this encounter was a true accident, or does the industry thrive on these manufactured moments of tension? Was the silence between them a sign of distance or intense connection? We are dying to hear your theories. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you are captivated by this analysis, hit the like button to support our channel. In the calm that followed the clamor, an internal note from the organizers surfaced in whispers, providing a mundane explanation for the magic. Apparently, Gökberk and Semra were never meant to be shepherded into the press zone within the same time block. Somewhere in the control room, something was shuffled. A tiny oversight, a minor timing hitch, a delay in a limo drop-off enough to plant them within breathing distance and turn a logistical error into the defining image of the event. And still, that small glitch didn't dilute the legend, it made it. It added a layer of destiny to the proceedings. If the universe conspires to bring two people together against the schedule, who are we to argue? Inside the interview room, journalists later reported that Gökberk kept his usual poise but wore the remnants of adrenaline on his jawline. He answered questions, stayed on message, but there was that unmistakable edge, the body remembering flashes and noise. Semra, for her part, was hyper-focused on discussing her current work. No sidesteps, no tells. The kind of grounded presence that says, what you came for is the craft. Even so, some attendees claimed that once organizers realized the couple might cross paths again, they subtly rerouted the flow of people to keep a second collision from happening. They knew the internet couldn't handle a sequel that same night. Morning brought fresh oxygen to the flames. New angles started to appear on Twitter and TikTok, crisper, closer, slowed down to agonizing detail. And suddenly there it was, undeniable. Semra pausing as the corridor widened, her gaze flicking toward the surge of flashes ahead. She caught sight of Gökberk in a turn of the shoulder, and her steps shortened by a fraction, like a dancer hitting a mark just in time. Almost simultaneously, you could see the lanterns of light swing as photographers pivoted toward her, and Gökberk, in that same sliver of time, looked startled by the shift of focus gathering at his side. Commentators called it the pivot point of the evening. A blink that bent the line of the night. When the official photos were released later that day, the conversation hit a second peak. There was one shot, just one, where they existed inside the same still, no contact, no pose, no coordinated angle, just two presences caught by the same river of flash. And the internet did what it does best, divided, debated, dissected. Meanwhile, those who were actually there kept repeating the same line. It's been a long time since we've seen that much attention condense into a single spot. The phrase became a chorus, echoing from makeup vans to car rides home. What makes this moment so sticky, beyond the glimmer and the guesses, is what it says about Gökberk and Semra together. Their names, when paired, draw a warmer flame than any trophy can. Even when they choose restraint, the air between them becomes a screen everyone wants to project a story onto. Maybe it's because their public image mixes tenderness with mystery, soft smiles in some months, deep privacy in others. Maybe it's because they have always refused to narrate themselves on command. Inside that red dress, Semra understood theatre as well as anyone on that carpet. She knew the color, the hour, the power of a pause. Inside that tailored suit, Gökberk knew control, timing, the discipline of looking into the light and not flinching. Put them near each other and the cameras stop being tools, they become characters, impatient and needy. And yet, beyond the staging, there were practicalities, scheduling grids that don't care about emotions, a room flow diagram that didn't account for a tiny time slip, publicists whispering contingency routes, assistants with headsets improvising traffic control. Tiny decisions made in seconds that transformed into the story of the night. As the day wore on, timelines filled with theories. Some fans argued the couple was simply avoiding spectacle, that they wanted the night to be about the craft, the awards, the colleagues. Others ran with the idea that a shared project was brewing and that the restraint was a strategic hint. A few leaned into the drama, insisting the greeting's temperature meant something more delicate. But here's the hinge, regardless of the take, everyone kept watching. The mystery didn't push people away, it pulled them in. Look closely at the footage again. Slow it down. There's that second where the light swings and you see both faces adjusting, Semra's breath settling, Gökberk's jaw resetting. It's tiny. It's human. It's the material that fans stitch into myth. And that's the pull here, the difference between what happened and what it means. Because sometimes meaning outruns fact, and that's how a few seconds get etched into a season. Before we close, one more beat. Officialdom can try to nudge the narrative toward logistics and professionalism, and they're not wrong. But the pulse of the night belonged to something less neat. It belonged to the possibility that two people can step into the same bright square and change the weather. That was true last night. It will be true tomorrow, when new events spin up and everyone wonders if there will be a rematch, a second surprise that makes the cameras cry out again. If it happens, it'll pour fuel on a fire that hasn't cooled since those first flashes. For now, the memory stands, Gökberk leaving in a hurry, Semra slipping out a quiet door, both trusting silence to hold. One photo, one shared beam of light, and a chorus of questions. Was it planned, or did the night make the plan? And around them, an industry that pretends to be immune to spectacle even as it lives on it, repeating the line like a refrain. It's been a long time since this many lenses wanted the same heartbeat. We here at News Around will continue to track the echoes of this night. Do you think we will see them together again soon? Share your predictions in the comments. And please, if you want to be part of the community that gets the real story first, subscribe and click the join button. Until next time, keep watching the lights.